Would you like for your report users to be able to select which metric they want to see? Or how about the category? This is a common report requirement, and using a clever technique, this is possible with SAS Visual Analytics 7.3. Keep watching to learn how to configure the necessary report pieces. I'm Terry Petzelaris with SAS, and this is the Technical Insights and Expertise series. Imagine the report requirement to allow your user to pick which metric is displayed on these visualizations. Not that hard, is it? Here I have highlighted in yellow 3 places that this metric could be used. Here in the bar chart, here in the cross tab, and here in the line chart. In this YouTube, we are going to walk through how to create this button bar that will allow your report users to pick which metric they wish to view in these report objects. Let's walk through these steps. First, we need to create a custom category to drive the button bar options. In this example, we will need to create a custom category with the options of expense, profit, and revenue, as you can see highlighted here. Second, we will need to create the parameter to hold this button bar's selection. In this example, we will need to create a parameter to hold the value expense. Third, we will need to create a calculated data item to hold the selected measure's value. In this very high-level example, we would need to create a calculated data item to hold the expenses measure's value, 3 million in this example. And finally, we will add the report objects and assign the necessary roles. Now let's review some of the considerations we need to keep in mind. We have both numeric and character parameter types that are available to us. And we have these supported control objects we may pick from to use to prompt our users for report selections. Let's walk through this example. First, we are going to create the custom category that drives the button bar's options. We are going to name that custom category List of Measures. Here I have a report already started for us, and I have already selected our fictional megacorp data. From the Data tab's drop-down menu, I'm going to select New Custom Category. Here we need to select a base category in order to build our new custom category from. This might seem awkward, but using this workaround prevents us from having to load a separate table into Laser. Basically, we need to pick a category that has a cardinality of more than the options we want to present the user. In this case, we want to present 3 options: revenue, profit, and expense. So any cardinality of 4 or more will suit our purpose. In this example, I'm going to select facility, since in the background I can see it has a cardinality of 19. This will suit our needs. I'm going to name the custom category List of Measures. And here, this is where we create our labels for profit, expense, and revenue. Double-click on the first one in order to rename it. And then click New Label to add a new one. We can leave the default selection, Group Remaining Values as Others, selected. Now, in order to save this custom category, we need to drag and drop values into each of these groupings. By using this workaround, it restricts the placement of where we can put the control object. We cannot put the control object in the report or section prompt because we would inadvertently filter out values. If you need to use this control as a report or section prompt, then you will need to load a separate table in order to drive the button bar's values. The separate table in this case would just be a single column, 3-row table of profit, expense, and revenue. We would add a new data source to this report and then use that as the button bar values. However, using the workaround of using a different category in order to drive this new custom category prevents us from having to load a separate table in order to drive this report. we can go ahead and click OK. Now we see we have our new custom category list of measures. Next, we are going to create the parameter to hold the button bar selection. We are going to name this parameter Selected Measure Parameter. So again, from the Data drop-down menu, we're going to select New Parameter and give our parameter a name. We are going to give it a type of character, and we can leave the current value or default value blank. Click OK, and here we verified our new parameter is added to the Data tab. Now we need to create the calculated data item that will hold the selected measures value. We can do this using nested if-then statements and the x equals y comparison expression. Essentially, if the user selects expenses, then we need to return the metric expenses. Else, if the user selects profit, we need to return the metric profit. Else, we will return the metric revenue. From our Data tab drop-down menu, we will select New Calculated Item. We will name this new calculated item measure, and we will drag and drop two if-else statements onto the canvas. Next, we need to add in our comparison expression. Now we need to compare the selected value against our available values in the button bar. The selected value is the selected measure parameter that we're going to have stored from the button bar. If this equals expense, then we are going to turn the numeric expense. If our selected measure parameter equals profit, then we are going to return the numeric profit. Otherwise, return the metric revenue. And click OK. Here we can see our new calculated item measure in the Data tab. Now we can add report objects and assign roles. The first thing I want to do is subset our data by year for the entire report section. So I'm going to add a drop-down list to our section prompt area. For its role, I'm going to select date by year. I'm going to remove the frequency. I'm going to add a sort of descending, and I'm going to go ahead and select 2011. The next thing I'm going to add is our button bar. On the roles, I'm going to add our new custom category list of measures. I'm going to remove the frequency numbers because we know they have no relevance for our custom category since it was built off a different category. Now we need to assign the parameter. This is where we're going to store the value that the user selected. We created that parameter and named it Selected Measure Parameter. Notice that we have four options: expense, other, profit, and revenue. We need to filter out the other options so the user does not have the option to select it. On the Filter tab, select List of Measures and add the filter, and deselect the other option. Now we have our three options: expense, profit, and revenue. Now we can add our bar chart. I'm going to go ahead and add the other objects to get a feel for the report layout. Our button bar does not need to be that big, so we can make it a little bit smaller. We can give a little bit more room to the line chart. Now let's go back and add the role assignments for these objects. In the bar chart, the category is going to be product line. And this is where we want to use our new calculated data item for the measure. So we're going to replace frequency and use our new calculated data item measure. For the crosstab object, we're going to use product for the rows, and again, use our new calculated data item measure. For the line chart, we're going to plot date by month and use our new calculated data item measure. So what measure are we looking at? It's kind of difficult to tell. When we have a selection made in our button bar, I notice that I can deselect it. This will prevent the user from easily being able to identify which metric has been selected. We need to make sure that a button bar selection is required. So let's click on the button bar, and from the Properties tab, require a value to be selected at all times. Now the user can easily identify which metric is being displayed in the visualizations. Now I want to create an interaction between the bar chart and the crosstab and line chart. From the Interactions tab, I'm going to select the Interactions View button, and I'm going to add a filter interaction from the bar chart to the crosstab and to the line chart. There we go. Now this report is complete. To help visually enhance the interactions in this report, let's add some object styling. We can use color to help achieve this. We can adjust the button bar's selected button and then coordinate that color through the other objects. So from the button bar, I'm going to click on the Styles tab and change the background selection color. I am then going to change the selected text color, and I'm going to make the font a little bit bigger. Now I'm going to incorporate this blue color through the rest of the report objects to tie it in. On the bar chart, I'm going to adjust the data fill color. I'm also going to make this a horizontal bar chart. From the Properties tab, I'm going to show data labels. On the cross tab, I'm going to adjust the row heading background color. And the text color. I'm also going to adjust the measure background color and text color. Finally, on the line chart, I'm going to color coordinate this line for both the fill and the line and marker. I'm going to save this report. Now let's view this report in the viewer. Here we're looking at expense for the product line breakdown, for the product breakdown, and in the line chart for the year 2011. If I were to select promotional product line, I can see that this filters the available products in the cross tab and also into the line chart. If I'm interested in the revenue, the visualizations update. And then if I select profit, the visualizations update again. I can see I have some negative values under my profit, so it might be helpful to add a display rule to highlight those in red. You are not restricted to only using the button bar for this type of report technique. You can use the other supported control objects. Let me open another report I have prepared to show you some examples. In this example, you can see instead of the button bar, I have used a drop-down menu. If I select profit, as I mentioned earlier, here I have added the display rule for the bar chart and in the crosstab for if your measure is less than 0 to color it red. In the second section of this report, I've shown you're not restricted to just using this technique to allow your users to pick a metric. You could follow these same steps in order to allow your users to pick a category. On this section, you can see the user can select a metric and then a category that's used in both of these visualizations. Right now, we're looking at the profit metric for the category facility state. I could put facility region and both of the visualizations would update. Notice how color can really help the user understand what is being graphed on these visualizations. I hope you found this example of enhancing your visual analytics reports useful. For additional examples, please look at the URLs below. Thanks for watching, and check back with the Technical Insights and Expertise series for more tips and tricks.